Hey guys, in today's lecture, we'll be discussing poem Still I Rise, written by Maya Angelou, a famous American poet, memoirist, and civil rights activist. Now this is Maya Angelou. She has published 7 autobiographies, 3 books of essays, several books of poetry, and is credited with a list of plays, movies, and television shows on which she acted and played a host for over 50 years. She has also received several honorary degrees, around 50 degrees to be precise, and she is well known for her memoir, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. Now, Still I Rise, the poem, is taken from her poetry collection titled And Still I Rise. It was published by Random Book House, and it is considered to be an anthem for the subjugated masses, especially women and the African Americans. Now, 2 of Maya Angelou's famous poems, The Phenomenal Women and Still I Rise, is published in this poetry collection, And Still I Rise. The poetry collection consists of 32 short poems. Now, without further ado, let's begin with a reading of Still I Rise. After my reading, we'll take a detailed look at the line-by-line analysis of the poem. Still I Rise, Maya Angelou. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still like dust I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I have got oil wells pumping in my living room. Just like moons and like suns, like the certainty of tides, just like hopes springing high, still I'll rise. Did you want me, breaking, bowed head, lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries? Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard, 'cause I laugh like I've got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I'll rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise? And I dance like I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs. Out of the huts of history's shame I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain I rise. I am a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling I bear in the tide, leaving behind nights of terror and fear. I rise into a daybreak that's wondrously clear. I rise, bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise. So that was a quick rendition of the poem. This is how it is read and this is how it was performed by Maya Angelou. I'll be sharing a clip with you soon after this lecture on how she rendered this poem out in public. Now we shall take a look at the analysis of the poem so that you will understand what these lines mean. So the poem begins with you. You may write me down in history. So the poem is addressed towards the reader or whoever is reading or listening to her poem. The poem begins with an apostrophe. In literature, in literary terms, we say that the poem begins with an apostrophe. Now, it's important for you to know these literary devices, so please take note of these literary devices. So, the poem begins with an apostrophe, that is, it is addressed to someone. Now, apostrophe means apostrophe occurs in literature when a character or a story or a poem speaks to an object or to an idea or to a person who is dead or non-existent or even to a person who is alive. So apostrophe occurs when you are addressing someone. Now, the famous Ode to West Wind is addressed to the west wind, right? It is addressed to the wind. Similarly, apostrophe occurs usually at the beginning of a poem, and it is addressing someone. In this case, the poem is addressing you. So the poem is clearly addressing the readers. Now, if you had any prejudices, or if you have any prejudices still, then this poem is about to question you and your prejudices. Your deep-rooted prejudices and bias towards slavery, towards women, all these aspects or all these notions will be questioned in this poem. You may write me down in history. So here it begins with an apostrophe, and the poet is addressing the oppressor figure as you. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. So she's talking about someone who is spreading slander about her, who is spreading lies about her, and that someone is you, and that someone can be you. Which means that the poet is addressing our prejudices. നമ്മളുടെ ഉള്ളിലെ prejudices-നെ, നമ്മുടെ ഉള്ളിലെ biases-നെ, ഇതിനെയാണ് ഇത് അഡ്രസ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്, ഈ പോയം അഡ്രസ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. Addressing the oppressor figure as you through the use of apostrophe, Maya Angelou suggests that the reader may also be implicated in the racist social structures and attitudes. So this poem is about racism, this poem is about the subjugation of women, the subjugation of Afro-Americans, African-Americans. So in this poem, the poet is addressing the reader, and the poet thinks that the reader too is an oppressor. The reader too is trying to subjugate her with their lies, with their slander. By spreading lies about someone, you will practically destroy their lives. If you are spreading slander or lies about someone, then you are bound to destroy their life. Normal people usually don't do that, but bullies do destroy people's life by spreading lies and slander. And this is what precisely is done here. And she is addressing that oppressor. She is addressing the oppressor, she is also addressing us. So who is being addressed here? Who is being referred to here with you? She is addressing us, the readers, directly. Now she is addressing the oppressor figure as you through the use of apostrophe, and Angelou is seen to imply, it seems like she is implying that we too are closely linked with the racial social structures, which means that we too are racist at heart, we too are sexist at heart, we too don't want emancipation of women, or we too are against emancipation of slaves. So she is poking fun of, or she is questioning the privileges and prejudices of the others towards black people. So she is questioning the prejudices of others towards the black people. Usually the privileged class, the white men, they are against the blacks. They are always trying to subjugate the blacks. Even now, why is a slogan like Black Lives Matter is pertinent? Why is such a slogan pertinent today? Because even today, people are being subjugated all around the world, and she is addressing the oppressors there. She is addressing the oppressive mentality which is there within all of us. If we are we show prejudice, or if we are biased towards certain people, then she is questioning us too by using the word you. I hope that it was clear. Now, you may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. So, whatever lies that you are spreading, lies are usually bitter. It is often twisted, like twisted for your convenience. If you are lying to someone, it is always for your convenience sake. And it is always twisted. And it is bitter. It's not good. It is bitter. Lies are always bitter. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt. Now, what is the meaning of trod here? You may trample upon me. What is the meaning of trample? Chavatti medikya nu parayile. You may trample me on the dirt. എന്നെ മണ്ണിൽ നിനക്ക് ചവിട്ടി മെതിക്കാമെന്നാണ് പറയുന്നത്. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may spread slander. You may spread lies about me. You may spread gossips about me. You may trample upon me, നിനക്ക് എന്നെ ചവിട്ടി മതിക്കാം. You may trample upon me in the very dirt. You may trample upon me on the dirt, but still like dust I'll rise. Even if you trample upon me like dust, even if you trod upon me like dust, I'll rise. Now, if you look closely, the word you may is repeated twice, right? At the beginning as well as in this line, in the first line as well as in the third line. Now, this is called anaphora, or repetition of a word or a phrase at the beginning of a sentence. So, anaphora is a figure of speech in which words repeat at the beginning of successive clauses, phrases, or sentences. So, when you repeat a word at the beginning of a sentence or beginning of a clause or a phrase, then it's called anaphora. And you may here is an anaphora, repetition of a word at the beginning, and it is often used to show emphasis. You may, so the reader is giving an agency to you. You may, you can, or you may go about spreading lies about me. You may trample me on dirt. You may trod upon me. നിനക്ക് ചവിട്ടി മെതിക്കാം എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ the person is giving an agency to the other person. The person is willfully giving the other person the right to do these nasty things. I hope that it was clear again. The speaker allows her oppressor to step upon her, to step on her, to trample upon her and crush her into the dirt. So she is allowing the other person to crush her to dirt. Now the oppressor clearly has little care for the speaker because he is going around, or he or she is going around spreading lies about her, and he is trying to trample upon her. He is trying to trample your name. In Malayalam there is a popular saying that മണ്ണില് ചവിട്ടി താക്കുക എന്നൊക്കെ പറയില്ല, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ എന്റെ പേരിനെ മണ്ണില് ഇട്ട് ഇഴയ്ക്കുക എന്നൊക്കെ പറയില്ലേ, അതെന്താ? ഡീഗ്രേഡ് ചെയ്യാണ്, ഡീമീൻ ചെയ്യാണ്. They are trying to degrade you, or they are trying to demean you. You may trod me in the very dirt. So she is giving the oppressor the ability to trod her very name on dirt. Okay, so the oppressor clearly is not concerned about her, because he is spreading lies about her, or he or she is trying to trample her name or trample her in the dirt, crush her into the dirt. So this is again highlighted using the anaphora, you may. Okay, so you is repeated there, you may is repeated there. So you may is repeated there. It's a literary device called anaphora, which means it is a repetition of word at the beginning of clauses, phrases, or sentences. Now, another thing is that she has no ability to stop this person. Whoever is spreading lies about her, or whoever is trying to trample upon her, this woman has no ability, or the woman is literally not able to stop him from doing all these nasty things. So, the speaker has no power over the oppressor, over her oppressor. That's what is shown by the anaphora, you may. So you may trod me in the very dirt, but still like dust I'll rise. Now dust has significance. It's a biblical allusion. So you might be familiar with the biblical thought, dust thou art and unto dust shalt thou, which means മനുഷ്യ നീ മണ്ണാകുന്നു, മണ്ണിലേക്ക് മടങ്ങും ന്യൂനം എന്ന് നമ്മൾ പറയാറുണ്ട്. മലയാളത്തിൽ മനുഷ്യ നീ മണ്ണാകുന്നു എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്, that is, we were made from dust. If you remember the biblical story of Adam and Eve were molded. In the beginning, Adam was molded out of dust by the Creator, and he breathed the life breath into Adam. ആഡത്തിലോട്ട് ജീവവായു പകർന്നു കൊടുക്കുകയായിരുന്നു ചെയ്തത്. After creating Adam, the life breath was breathed into him. So similarly, it is believed that man is made of dust, and when we die, we decompose and we turn into dust. We turn into soil. So this is a biblical thought. Dust thou art, and unto dust shall thou return. മനുഷ്യ നീ മണ്ണാകുന്നു, മണ്ണിലേക്ക് നീ മടങ്ങുന്നു. That idea is there. So even if you turn me into dust, if you turn me into something as insignificant as dust, though you may think that it is as insignificant as dust, the dust means each and every one of us is made up of dust, right? God created man using dust. So each and every one of us has that essence of dust within us. So you need to treat me as an equal. That meaning is also there. Because each and every one of us is made of dust, you need to treat me as an equal. We are all made up of dust. So you need to treat me as an equal. So that's also there. So like dust, I'll rise. പൊടി പറന്ന് പോകുന്ന പോലെ, എത്രയൊക്കെ നമ്മൾ ചവിട്ടി താഴ്ത്താൻ നോക്കിയാലും പൊടി പറന്ന് പോകുന്ന പോലെ I will rise. That's what she says. So you cannot oppress her, because how hard you try to oppress her, she will rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Now, does my sassiness means live-spirited nature. Does my spirited nature, does my happy, lively nature upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? Again, she's addressing you. Why are you beset with gloom? Why are you troubled with gloom? Why are you troubled with sadness? Gloom is equal to dejection or depression or despondency. These are all words which are closely related with gloom. In Malayalam, we say Vishada. So why are you troubled with gloom? Why are you troubled with dejection, or why are you troubled with depression? Why are you so sad? Gloom. Depressed, that is the closest word to it. So again she is asking the other person, the oppressor, why are you sad? Because often the oppressors are always insecure. It is their insecurity that drives them into bullies. It's said that highly insecure people turn into bullies. So it is their insecurity that's making them bullies. And that's why she says that, why are you so gloom? Why are you beset? Why are you troubled with gloom or depression? Or why are you troubled with sadness? Because I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room? Is it because I walk as if I've got oil wells pumping in my living room? Is that what affecting you? Is that what affecting you? Because I'm walking as if I have oil wells pumping in my living room. And then നടത്തമാണോ നിന്നെ trouble ചെയ്യുന്നത്? Because I walk as if I have oil wells pumping in my living room. Now what do you mean by oil well? Oil wells are something which is closely associated with prosperity, right? You don't have oil wells pumping in your living rooms. Because oil wells is often associated with the rich countries, United Arab Emirates and the like. So they have oil wells, and oil wells is a sign of prosperity. Like petrol and diesel, it is a sign of prosperity. And the woman is saying that I'm walking as if I have an oil well pumping in my living room, because I'm walking as if I'm so rich. Again, you need to know that in the oil wells or in mines, or people who are employed in oil wells and mines are usually laborers, and they are menial laborers. They do menial job, and they are workers who do menial job. Usually the slaves used to extract oil, and slaves, even in the Arab countries, there were people who were treated like slaves and they used to extract oil. So again, it shows that years of slavery, it is taking us back to those years of slavery. Okay, so she's saying that, does my sassiness, does my light-spirited nature affect you or upset you? Why are you so gloom? Why are you beset with gloom? Why are you troubled with sadness? Is it because I walk as if I have got oil wells pumping in my living room? Is it because I walk as if I'm rich? Is that what is troubling you? Is it because I'm so confident and walking as if I'm rich? I'm so happy. Is that what is troubling you? She says, because the oppressor never wants to see you happy, is it? The oppressor never wishes to see you happy. He always wants to see you sad, because he is sadistic in nature. And this woman is a live-spirited woman. She's always happy, and that is affecting the oppressor, because the oppressor wishes to treat her like a slave. And the slaves must be subjugated. They should not be happy. They should always bow their heads in front of the master, and those lines are again coming up. So they must be bowing their heads. They must not be happy, and they must not walk as if they have got oil wells in their living room. They should not be rich. Because if they are rich, then they are emancipated. If they have money, they are emancipated. Just like moons and like suns with the certainty of tides, just like hope springing high, still I rise, she says. So again we are moving to images which are related with nature. Just like moons and like suns with the certainty of tides. So I am like moons and like the sun. Now what do you mean by sun and the moon? This woman is natural. She is closely associated with nature, she says. And like all the natural phenomenon, like the waxing and waning of the moon, the rising and the setting of the sun, and the high tide and the low tide, all these things cannot be controlled. Like similar to that, this woman cannot be controlled. So like moons and like tides, like the waxing and waning of the moon, can you stop it? No. Can you stop this rising and setting of the sun? No, it's a natural phenomenon. It occurs on a cyclical manner. Can you stop the high tide and low tide? No, it again occurs in a cyclical manner. It is natural as against culture. Culture is always corrupting. It is culture which says that woman should be subjugated and woman should behave in certain ways and women should be more feminine. So these are the ideas and constructs which are given to you by culture. It is culture that make you think like this. But in nature, you are free. The woman is free in nature. So you cannot control the waxing and waning of the moon, the rising and setting of the sun, and the high tide and the low tide. Similarly, you cannot control this woman. Because she has hopes springing high within her. She still has hope within her. Now, another famous poet, Emily Dickinson, said that hope is a thing with feathers. It gives you happiness. It gives you a meaning to your life. So, again, she has hope springing within her and nothing can stop this woman. The poet. Did you want to see me broken? Was it your wish to see me broken? Did you want to see me broken? Did you want to see me depressed, broken, sad, bowed head, lowered eye, as if I had to bow my head? What do you mean by bowed head? തലകുനിക്കാന്ന് പറയില്ലേ നമ്മള് എപ്പോഴാണ് നമ്മൾ തലകുനിക്കുക? When we are in front of a higher authority, we often bow our heads, or we bow our heads in shame. When we do something wrong, we bow our head in shame. Usually slaves had to bow their head before their masters. Again, this is a reference to the age-old slavery and the traditions that they followed. Did you want to see me broken, bowed head and lowered eye? And they will never meet their master's eye. The slaves, they never met their master's eye. They always had a lowered eye. You know who else has a lowered eye and bowed head? Usually women in patriarchal households or in families. They too have bowed head and lowered eyes. They don't look at men in the eye. They have bowed head and lowered eyes. Shoulders falling down like teardrops. So again, that shows a lack of confidence in women. Usually women are always bowed down. Their shoulders are falling down like teardrops. It shows a lack of confidence. And weakened by the soulful cries. And usually women cry a lot. And these are all considered as weaknesses in women. The bowed head, the lowered eyes, the falling down of the shoulders like a teardrop. And their occasional cries. Whenever they are met with some difficulty, they cry. Unlike men, they cry. They express their grief. Men are told not to express their grief, but women cry. And these are all signs of weaknesses. Now society says that these are all signs of weaknesses and these are all closely linked with femininity. And it's also linked with slavery. Even slaves, even if you are a male, but if you are a slave or if you are an African American, you are supposed to be like that. And that's what the society said to them. And these are all weaknesses which are closely associated with femininity and slavery. These are all signs of subjugation. When you are subjugated, adichamarthapeduga. Subjugation means adichamarthapeduga. When you are subjugated by someone, ആരെങ്കിലും നിങ്ങളെ അടിച്ചമർത്തിയാൽ നിങ്ങൾ ഇതുപോലെ ആയിരിക്കും അവരുടെ ഫ്രണ്ടിൽ നിൽക്കുന്നത്. നിങ്ങൾ ഒരിക്കലും അവരുടെ കണ്ണിൽ നോക്കി ആയിരിക്കില്ല സംസാരിക്കുന്നത്. You will always be bowed head, lowered eyes, and your shoulders will be hanging down like a teardrop. And your soul will be crying from within. So she says that, did you want to see me like that? Did you want to see me subjugated? Did you want to see all my weaknesses as a woman, as a black woman? Did you? Does my haughtiness offend you? Then she says that, does my ego or does my arrogance or self-respect offend you? Does my ability to respect myself offend you? Does my ego, each and every person has ego within them. It's not just a property of the males, it is also there within the females. So does my ego or arrogance or self-importance or self-respect, does that offend you? She says, does my haughtiness is more or less the closer meaning is arrogance. And she is admitting that she is arrogant. Usually women don't admit that they are arrogant. Because women are rarely arrogant in most cases. They never show their arrogance. They are not supposed to show their arrogance. And then she says that, does my arrogance, does my ego offend you? Don't you take it awful hard? You must not take it awful hard. You must not take it very hard. Awful is something which is bad. But here, awful hard is actually a colloquial term. You know, in American English, when you say awful hard, it is awful there is used as a synonym for very, very hard. Instead of saying very hard in American English, in informal American English or in colloquial expressions, they say very. So don't you take it very hard upon you. You must not take it very hard upon you. You must not, let it eat up your mind or let it trouble you. Because I laugh like I've got gold mines digging in my own backyard. And she says that you must not trouble yourself, you must not vex yourself because I am so arrogant. Because I laugh like I have got gold mines digging in my own backyard. Now, I am a woman who is open. I laugh as if I have got gold mines digging in my backyard. I am so happy. At times, I laugh out loud as if I have got gold mines in my backyard. Again, gold mines, oil wells, these are all symbols of prosperity. And these were not approachable to the slaves or to the African Americans. At one time, they were all made to work in gold mines or they were made to work in oil wells, but they were never given due credit and they never owned these places. Okay, they were made to work in these places. And she says that I laugh as if I have got gold mines, again a sign of prosperity, as if I'm rich. I laugh as if I'm rich, as if I've got gold mines digging in my own backyard, as if I've got gold mines in my own backyard. So again, gold mine is a symbol of slavery, because African Americans used to work in gold mines. Till when the Californian rush came, again they were employed there, they had to collect gold. We have dealt with that line. Again, next line. You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still like air I'll rise. It was a very famous refrain and personally I like it a lot. You may shoot me with your words. What do you mean by shoot me? Again, these are all terms which are closely related with aggression, right? When you're angry or you're about to kill someone, these are all words associated with aggressive behavior. So you may shoot me with your words. Shoot me, again, a sign of aggression. But again, shoot me with your words means it's a passive aggression. When you shoot someone, you kill them using a gun. But when you shoot someone with words, it hurts them internally, in a deeper level. If you shoot someone with a gun, they die, and they would feel the pain for a short time, and then they'll die. But if you shoot them with your words, then it will remain in their heart forever. So you may shoot me with your words. It's a sign of passive aggression. When it's combined with words, you often hurt other people with words, and it's a form of passive aggression. You are aggressive in a passive manner. Okay? It shows hostility. A rude remark can often hurt you. കൈവിട്ട വാക്കെന്ന് പറയാറില്ല. കൈവിട്ട വാളും കൈവിട്ട വാക്കും ഒരുപോലെ നോവിക്കുന്നു പറയാറുണ്ട്. Similar to that, it is a sign of aggression. Shoot me with your words. It's a sign of aggression, extreme aggression. Shoot. Again, when it is combined with words, it becomes passive aggressive. The other person is trying to hurt you, but not visibly. The hurt cannot be seen visibly, but it will haunt you deep. You may cut me with your eyes. You may not look at me. So at times when people are at cross with you or they are against you, they never give you their eyes. Right? They will look here and there. They will never give you a kindful glance. They will never look at you. So you may cut me with your eyes. You may cut me short. Again, it's a sign of passive aggression. It is a wound made by a glance. Sometimes they might not even look at you. So you may cut me with your eyes. You may cut me short with your eyes. You may look at me severely. You may kill me with your hatefulness. Again, in the end, after shooting and after cutting, again, all signs of aggression, he talks about the ultimate grand finale. That is, you may kill me with your hatefulness. You may kill me with your hate. Again, it offers a grand finale to a series of words which indicates passive aggression. You may kill me with your hatefulness. When someone hates you, it eats up your soul, right? You feel, why are they hating me? In one way or the other. There are other people who think that, oh, even if they hate me, who cares? I hate them too. There are two people in this world, two kinds of people in this world. But then again, you may kill me with your hatefulness. It shows that the other person has the ability to kill you with their hate. But even if you do all those aggressive things, still, like air, I'll rise. Even if you shoot me, even if you cut me, even if you kill me, I will rise. I will rise up. So, in a racist world, the poem implies that society continuously denies full humanity of black people. That is, it is as if black people are devoid of humanity. People treat black people as if they are devoid of humanity, as if they are not human. Okay, even when George Floyd was killed by Minneapolis police, this was there. That is, George Floyd was, taken away from his humanity, or it was as if he was not even treated as a human. That is why the owner of that shop was not willing to give him the products, even though he was willing to pay for it. So, the society continually denies humanity for black people. They are not treated as humans. Society wishes that the speaker was broken. So, what are the society's wishes to the speaker? What does the society wish for the speaker? The society wants the speaker to be broken, cut, or even worse, even to be killed. Rather than valuing the lives and humanity of black people, they are robbed of their humanity to harm and destroy them. They are taken away from their humanity. They are not even treated as humans in order to destroy them. Now she says that now the next lines, again, it pertains to the poet as a woman and a black American woman. She says, does my sexiness upset you? Now again, sexiness here again indicates her femininity, her womanhood, her essence as a woman. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it upset you that I'm sexy? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? So I dance as if I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs. So she says that, again, it's taken as a whole, the lines declare the speaker's power over her body. She feels that her body is powerful and she is focusing on the words, that is, she dances as if she has got diamonds at the meeting of her thighs. So again, the focus is on her womanhood. So the placement of diamond between her thighs is also important because it speaks about the speaker's womanhood. Now again, gold mines and diamonds, these are all expensive things and these are all prized for their beauty, and the speaker is giving value to her own body. She is granting value to her body by stating that I dance as if I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs. So she gives value to her own womanhood, she gives value to her own femininity, and she treats her body as something which is powerful, regardless of what society says. Usually society wishes to cover up a woman, but she says that I am proud of being a woman. That's what she means by Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? So she gives more power to her body. She thinks that she is powerful. Because though gold and diamonds are all ornaments, these are all expensive. And the people who possess gold and diamonds usually possess power. And she gives power to her own body. Unlike many women who feel powerless in their bodies, she feels powerful in her body. Out of the huts of history's shame I rise. She is rising from the huts. Huts of history shame, again, history's shame, again, huts are places in which the African Americans lived, or the Africans lived for that matter, because they lived a life of abject penury or poverty. They lived a life of extreme neglect and poverty, and huts symbolize that poverty. Referring to her ancestors' huts, which were looked down upon by the white men as symbols of poverty and squalor, which is extreme neglect. So huts were looked down upon by white men as a symbol of poverty, as a sign of extreme neglect. So she has risen from the hut in which she lived. Out of the huts of history's shame I rise. So even in history, the blacks often lived in huts, and this was often portrayed as though they lived in huts. If you go back to the initial pictures of Barack Obama, you can find a picture of him visiting his native village, and there is a picture in which he sits next to a woman, and it said that it was his grandmother, and he's sitting next to her near to a hut. It shows their humble upbringing. Out of the huts of history's shame I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain I rise. So again, the poet herself was abused when she was a child, when she was just 15 years old, and the past that is rooted in pain may indicate the abuse that she had to face as a child, and it may also indicate slavery and bonded labor that her ancestors faced. So her ancestors were treated as slaves. They were made to do bonded labor. What do you mean by bonded labor? They will be forever bonded to a land. That is, they need to work for a landlord. They won't get anything in return. Sometimes they might get something in return in the form of some rice or something for sustenance. Just for living, they might be given some grain or rice or something, but other than that, they won't have any right over the land. So they worked in plantations, they worked as slaves to the rich white men's household, and their history is filled with pain. It's rooted in pain. Its root is there in pain. So up from a past that's rooted in history I rise. I am a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling I bear in the tide. And she says that I'm a black ocean. I feel like I'm a black ocean. That means she is proud of her ethnicity. She is proud of her blackness. She is proud of being a black woman. She is asserting her identity as a black woman. I am a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling I bear in the tide. So this is a woman who cannot be contained. Usually, even in Kerala, they say that women should be like vessels. Women should be like water. Wherever you pour the water, they must be able to occupy the vessel, right? Women should be like water, and when you pour water into a vessel, they must occupy the vessel. Without complaining, they must occupy the vessel. That is, when they go to places, when they move from one place to another, when they are uprooted from their own home to their husband's home, they need to be like water, and they need to occupy that space. That's what they say. So women are often treated as water that has to be contained. But here she is referring to herself as an ocean. Can you contain an ocean? Can you try to build a boundary around an ocean? No, right? The waves will come and it would hit off the boundary. So you cannot contain an ocean. It is always welling and swelling. Yeah, there are always tides in the ocean. So like ocean, she too cannot be contained in a vessel. She cannot be fit to a mold. and she cannot be fit to the traditional mold of femininity. Usually feminine or women are often fitted to different molds. In childhood they are treated as girl, in their adulthood they are treated as women. When they move on, they become wife, they become daughter, they become mother. So they are always fitted to different roles, and society ascribes roles to women. And this woman cannot be contained in any mold, or she cannot be contained within any mold which is placed before her. She cannot be molded. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. So behind her there are nights filled with terror and fear. Again, a reference to the slavery, the hardships that her ancestors had to face. And this can refer to the nights of terror. It was considered that in the slave ships, again they were taken from Africa to America in slave ships, and often there weren't many, the slave ships were places in which you have to lead a congested life. Thousands of slaves will be there, and they will all occupy one deck or something, and they won't be given enough food. Often half of the slaves died en route to America. They never reached America. Half of them died in the sea, and even the conditions in slave ships were filled with horror. They were made to sleep together, then they were not given enough food. So these are all terrific things, right? These are all nights which are filled with terror and fear, not knowing what will happen next. And then again, this is also a reference to her as a person, because she was abused by her mother's friend, and this left an indelible mark on her mind, and that was always there. So again, this may also refer to the abuse that she had to face as a child. She was raped and abused by her mother's boyfriend. His name was Freeman, and the night here can also refer to slavery. So, leaving behind the nights of terror and fear, I rise, she says. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, I rise. So, I am waking up into a daylight which is marvelously clear, bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. So, she says that I'm rising into a daybreak. I'm rising into a day. From night, again, we come to day. It is an exact opposite, right? Night and day. So night is juxtaposed with day. Nights of terror is juxtaposed with a daybreak which is wondrously clear. So at night you don't know what is happening. Often you may not be able to, if it is pitch darkness, you may not be able to understand who is there right in front of you. So night comes with horrors and terrors, unknown horrors and known terrors. But in daybreak it is wondrously clear. In daybreak you can see everything clearly, and daybreak is a sign of hope. So she is moving from night. She, as well as her ancestors, as well as the entire black community, is moving towards daybreak which is wondrously clear, a daybreak which is marvelously clear. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. Again, I'm bringing with me the gifts that my ancestors gave. And she says that I'm a woman who is merited by my ancestors' gift. And many of these black ancestors, they were skilled carpenters, they were skilled at maintaining gardens, they were skilled at keeping a perfect house. They were skilled laborers. They could do anything. They could accomplish any task, but they were treated like slaves. So she in her veins has the gifts that were passed on to her by her ancestors. Those hereditary gifts is there within her. I am the dream and hope of the slave. So here you might be familiar with Martin Luther King Jr.'s famous speech, I have a dream. So here the poet is reminiscing, or I think the poet might have remembered the famous speech given by Martin Luther King. So these lines reminiscence of when a reader reads these lines, we too think that this is closely associated with the speech which was uttered by Martin Luther King. I have a dream. So I am the dream, she says. I am the dream that my ancestors saw. I am the dream and hope of the slave. I am the dream that my ancestors saw. I am the free woman that my ancestor aspired to become. Maybe my mother or my grandmother or the generations of ancestors who were there before me, they wanted me to be happy. They wanted me to be free. They wanted me to be emancipated. So she says that I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I am the hope of that slave, that ancestor that I had. I am the dream of that slave, my ancestor. I rise, I rise, I rise. So she says that I go there, I am rising and rising and rising. There is nothing stopping me, no one stopping me. I am the dream and the hope of the slave, and there is nothing stopping me. I am going to rise, rise, rise. Now if you take a look at the stylistic devices used here, and we shall take a quick look at it. You might find that here at the ending it goes on like this, right? I rise, I rise, I rise. So here there is a rising intonation. In the previous lecture I had dealt with intonation, so here there is a rising intonation. I see I rise, I rise, I rise. So here there are two stresses. This is called a rising meter. So it shows the rise of the speaker. As a woman, as a black American, it shows her rise from a very subjugated position. It shows her rise into someone who is greater. So the shift to the rising meter not only reflects the rise of the speaker, but it stands in direct contrast to the negative tone in the first three lines of the poem. So in the first three lines, you may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. It was stressed, unstressed. The syllable went like this: stressed, unstressed. You may write me down in history. History is unstressed. You may is stressed. Write is again stressed. Down in history is unstressed. So it was stressed, unstressed in the beginning, but here it becomes stressed and stressed. I'll rise, I'll rise, I'll rise. So in both I'll as well as in rise, I rise and I rise, it is stressed. Both I and rise are stressed. It gives emphasis, it gives strength. It is called a rising meter. And here the woman herself wishes to be she wishes to arise from all kinds of subjugation. So it shows that she is rising from the poverty, she is rising from the slavery towards freedom, she is rising towards emancipation. So that's there. So this is known as a rising meter. I rise, I rise, I rise. Now in the beginning again, when you say, you may write me down in history, there the words are in stressed, unstressed pattern. Write me down in history. Write me, again, stressed, unstressed, down, stressed, in, unstressed, history, unstressed. Okay? Bitter, twisted lies. Okay, bitter, twisted is again stressed, lies is unstressed. Trod me, again, trod is stressed, me is unstressed. In the very dirt, again, it goes like this: stressed, unstressed. So this is called a falling rhythm. From stressed to unstressed, it's called a falling rhythm. You might be familiar with it. It's called a trochee. Stressed, unstressed rhythm is called a trochee. And this shows the negative impression that you get at the beginning of the poem. You feel negative, right? You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. Say all negative words. Someone is asking you to write her down in history with lies. So lies is a word which is negative. Dirt is a word which is negative. And she's saying that you may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. So it's a falling rhythm. But towards the end, she says, I'll rise. So I'll rise means, again, that is a stressed syllable. So till then, it was unstressed, stressed, unstressed. And at the end, it becomes a stressed syllable. It becomes a spunti. So in short, you can say the beginning negative sentences were written in falling rhythm and the ending lines were written in spunti, which is stressed rhythm, which is a rising rhythm. So rising rhythm shows her emancipation from a subjugated position. So in the beginning, she was subjugated and she was willing to be subjugated. That's why she says, you may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may throw me in the very dirt, but still like dust I'll rise. So she was subjugated and she knew that she was subjugated and she was willing to be subjugated. That's why she said, you may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. And why is she willing to be subjugated? Because she feels that she cannot do anything. If an oppressor is there and he wishes to oppress you, then nothing can stop him, right? It is the oppressor who himself should rethink that should I oppress them or should I not do it? Is it right from my part to treat another human being as trivial? Is it right in my part to treat another human being as less humane? It is up to us, right? We must think for ourselves. Should we treat another human being in an inferior position or should we treat each and every human being that's there in our life as equal? That's up to us, right? So, in the beginning, she was in a subjugated position. That's why there is a falling rhyme there. And in the end, she is in a far better position and she feels like even if you do anything, I'll rise. So, there she is sure that she is certain that whatever that the oppressor is trying to do with her, she will, at the end, the time will always be hers. In the end, she will rise from all the subjugations and she will rise from the oppressions. So again, this poem is taken from And Still I Rise, a book of poems. It's important to know the poetry collection because they might ask this question, from which poetry collection is Still I Rise taken? Sometimes they won't, but at times they will. For your exams, they might give you a poem like this and ask you to identify the poetic devices. Now, as I said, the anaphora, the apostrophe, these are all devices, poetic devices within this poem. You might be familiar with similes and metaphors, right? When you make comparisons using as and like, it is simile. When you make direct comparisons, then it is a metaphor. Now, and you might be familiar with rhyme schemes as well, I suppose. But then you need to take a look at all these other devices that I told today, that is anaphora, apostrophe, and spundi and trochee. Okay. Now there is a short mini assignment for you. Try to find out the rhyme scheme of this poem and write it down and give it to me. So you need to find out the rhyme scheme of the poem. Now a quick look at some of the comprehension questions of the poem. Who is the speaker in the poem? Now the speaker in the poem is the poet herself. Now what is the refrain used in the poem? Now a refrain is a line or a word, usually a word which is repeated in a poem. A refrain is a word which is often repeated in the poem. Now in this particular poem, the word I'll rise is often repeated. So a refrain is a word or a line or a phrase which is repeated within the poem in several stanzas. ഓരോ stanzaയിലും ഈ ഒരു word repeat ചെയ്യും. അതിനെയാണ് നമ്മൾ refrain എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. So in this particular poem, it's I'll rise. You see I'll rise here, then I'll rise occurs here, and towards the end also there is I'll rise. Here there is again I'll rise. So the phrase occurs throughout the different stanzas in the poem. So this is a refrain. I rise or I'll rise is the refrain that's there in the poem. It is a phrase which repeats within the stanzas in a poem. What is the general tone of the poem? The poet is being assertive here, right? It shows her self-confidence, it shows her assertiveness. She's being assertive. That's the general tone of the poem. The poet is feeling confident, positive, assertive. Now, there are two more questions and I'm giving it up for you. What are the striking images used in this poem? And if you have read similar poems, you may name a few. So this is again there in your textbook. But try to find out the striking images that are there in the poem. Try to find out the imagery that are there in the poem. Now imagery can be visual, auditory. Visual means an image that you feel as if you are seeing it right in front of your eyes. Auditory image is something that you hear, like the buzzing sound of a bee. If something is there, then that is an auditory image, like the gravel or growling sound. If it is there, then that's the auditory image. Then there is something called kinesthetic image, which shows movement. If there is a particular image which shows movement, then that's called kinesthetic image. And tactile image means an imagery which is closely associated with touch. Then there is something called gustatory image, which is associated with taste, gustatory image, and olfactory image, which is associated with smell. So try to find out some images from this poem. Try to find out some striking visual images. I think there are some kinesthetic images as well in this poem. If you are able to find auditory images, try to find it out and try to write it down in your notebook. We shall discuss it in the next class. Thank you for listening. Take care.